Hi, I'm Bruce Harris.
Hi, I'm Hina Reed.
Hello, this is Miguel Mora, and welcome to Cheques Play.
Dun, 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 dun. I always do that, and it's so corny. Last time I did it, I thought it was cool, but I listened to it, it was corny. Dun, 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 dun. Hey, how's everybody doing? And wow, Miguel, look who's here today.
Yeah.
It's Hina.
Our good friend Hina. Our good friend Hina Reed. Hina is our guest host today, has stepped in to be with us today.
Bravely,
yes.
Not bravely. It's an honor. Are you kidding me? Thank you for the opportunity.
How you doing, Hina? And thanks for getting up early again in Las Vegas. Again.
You're welcome. Again. I'm doing great. Life is absolutely fabulous. I can't, every time I wake up, it's always a great day. And then you have to decide, okay, so it's a great day. What am I going to do? Right. So,
yeah. It's cool. You know, it's pretty cool, Miguel. I know we were talking about this. We have, since we've been on as a podcast, creeping our way up the little podcast, identity here, that, we've been fortunate enough to have an A-list of guests appearing on and willing to sit with us and just have discussions and conversations about the casino industry. But now we have an A-list co-host stand-in as well. So that's another step for us that we haven't had before.
Indeed.
Aww. It just be my day.
And listen, we did we honored Casa with some virtual flowers for an honor of National Women's History Month. We apologize because this was at the last minute. Miguel, you have any flowers around or candy?
No. I got some candy.
Seeing the two beauties of you two is enough for me.
Oh, listen to you.
Great.
Smooth. She's smooth too. She's got that Vegas smooth going on.
That's swag.
Awesome. So listen, today is going to be a pretty cool day because technology is moving so fast and it really fits well with the casino industry, not just the casino industry, but many industries with what we call non-desk employees. So we're going to be talking with the group from Ready App today. So that's going to be pretty awesome and exciting.
Yes, indeed. We have a great product for you today to showcase. And it's a product that both of us used in the past in different places that we've been. And it's a wonderful tool to get everybody in the gaming industry involved. Everybody in your operation will be involved to the point that communication, training, a number of things that we're going to show you today.
Oh, yes. So what's Hina, you've been in so many different areas of the casino industry. And I know one of them was with the slot operations. You were vice president of slot operations at Caesars in Las Vegas, right? Correct?
Director of slots.
Thanks
for giving me that little promotion, but yes, director of slots.
It's not a shameless plug. It's the real deal. But so tell us something about changes that are happening in the United States. So what's going on? You know anything about it?
Well, one of them that I'm pretty excited about is there is a bill out that's called the Slot Act. We're going to be able to raise that slot jackpot threshold level of $1,200 up to $5,000. $1,200 was that threshold that it would lock up the slot machine, meaning that a slot attendant would have to intervene and unlock it and do the paperwork and pay the customer and then rekey the machine and get it back to playing. Right.
I got you.
And a lot of the threshold levels were always at 1,200 for years, right?
Okay.
So, and we were constantly always, especially in high limit, we're always going.
I thought it was higher than that for some reason. I just thought it was like somebody can get 5,000 out of a machine if they hit,
Well, okay, there's a difference. There's a huge difference between, accumulated credit, which is cherry, bar, and then that's accumulated credit. So your wins, and you can do that all the way up to $5,000, right? However, to cash out because of that 1,200 level, it was considered a non-taxable, so non-credit stuff, but or cumulative credit. But this is an actual jackpot that the slot machine hit. The slot machine is going ding, 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 right? And it just locks the machine up. So that required an intervention of the slot attendant to do the W2G, the tax paperwork, the IDs and all that other stuff, and pay the customer and then get them to playing. Raising that from $1,200 to $5,000 is a huge benefit to the casino.
Awesome.
Number for labor hours of that, and it's just a lot of unnecessary work on
I
our
got
part
you.
for that
Good.
1200.
Well, good,
Yeah.
good. We're finally
Yeah.
getting there. We're getting there.
Yes.
Miguel, what's happening with you? Anything going on with you?
Well, so far so good. We still on our things with the other projects that we have involved.
Yeah.
No traveling this week, thank God. I get to stay home. But probably next week I have to go out of town for a couple of days, and life is getting back to normal. So,
Well,
that's
you
what we're
can't
doing.
travel too much either here. I mean, we already had high gas prices.
Yeah.
Who's someone sent me that you and I both know. They were in Saudi Arabia. This person, they traveled a whole lot. I'm not going to say a name because I called him just to see if I have permission from him to say his name, but I don't want to call him out. But he was in Saudi Arabia, and he spent a lot of time at the camel auction. So I kept saying, "What are you doing? Are you in the market for a camel? How much do they go for?" He said about $2,000 or $3,000. He says it's much cheaper to have a camel than drive a car. He said, "I just don't know how to bring it back." You know who that guy is.
Yes.
Yeah, he's been to about 156 countries now. 156. That's amazing. So,
Yeah.
so anyway, we're going to get going and bring our guest in. But one more thing before we do, I just saw also there is a new company that's going to be a new project that's going to be unveiled soon. Or made it come out already. Well, by the time that the podcast comes out, a new $3 billion casino project will be developed there in Las Vegas. That's pretty cool.
That is wonderful. That is wonderful.
With a $1 billion theater inside arena that's going to be in the middle of the casino with a 20,000 seat facility or arena inside that, and that's going to be announced. I think the company's called Oak View, so everyone should be listening out for that. That's going to be pretty cool because it's going to affect you, Hina.
Yeah.
More ching 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 ching.
Yeah.
More deals,
Or
right?
more jobs, more
And more
jobs.
jobs.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Cool.
Absolutely.
So you guys ready?
We're
We
ready.
are.
Okay, so
I'm
we're
very
going to
excited.
introduce to you, I think they are waiting here. If I have my clicks and my buttons ready here, because oftentimes I try to find out what I'm doing and I get lost here. But anyway, we have Justin Rudwell, who is the business company growth manager. And we have Thor Wiljanen, who is the business development of Ready App organization company, and they're going to be here with us and they're going to talk about all the amazing things that they're doing. So let's introduce Justin and Thor. Let's bring them on in.
Gentlemen, good morning. How are you?
Doing well. Doing well.
Hey,
Pleasure
Justin.
having you both.
Hey, Thor. What's happening, guys?
Yeah, not much. I'm coming here live from my house, actually, in Louisville, Kentucky, where Ready App's headquartered. And I chose the house over the office because at the office, we got a lot of road works happening right outside Jackhammers. They're digging the road up. It's making quite the racket. And now I've got a neighbor who decided to start blowing leaves around. So you might hear a leaf blower in the background.
That's quite all right.
That's okay.
Plans.
That's okay.
That's better than blowing around a lot of snow, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yes.
That season is past.
That's cool.
Gentlemen, we were telling our audience before you came on about your product, Ready App. Ready App to us, Bruce and myself, we used it in the past. It's a great tool to do many things, not only in the gaming industry, but other industries as well. And we'll learn from you other places where this is being used. But you've been with the gaming industry for quite a while now. You been in use at Seminole casinos, all the Hard Rocks for some time. That's where Bruce and I had the experience of working with you here at Hard Rock Punta Cana. Your product to me gives the operation the ability to connect with everybody within the operation and at many levels. One of the levels that I like the most is the non-desk employee, the person, the people that sometimes don't get lost in the shuffle per se, that they lose the connection. With your product, they're connected. And that is something that I want to go into. How do we get to the non-desk employee? How do we make it part of what is going on a day-to-day operation?
Yeah, we can certainly jump in on that. Probably just a quick introduction from myself, and I'll let Thor speak for a minute about his background as well. So my name's Justin, as you guys introduced. I'm the Chief Growth Officer for Ready App. I've been in that role for just about a year. Prior to that, I was head of our advisory group. So I've been with Ready App for about 2 years in total. Really cut my teeth in this space as a management consultant for many years over in London, over in the United Kingdom, and worked in a lot of different industries. I've also kind of run my own businesses. I was in the wine industry, wine and spirits for a while. And of course, coming from Louisville, we're kind of the home of horse racing in the US. And so that whole idea of casino world, gambling, hospitality, that is very much a part and parcel of coming from where we come from. And I'm just thrilled to be on the podcast today. Thanks for having us on, guys. And happy to talk to your point, Miguel. I want to give Thor an opportunity to introduce himself as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Justin. So my name is Thor Wiljanen, of course. I've been with Ready App 4 years now. 4 years. And the hat that I wear depends on the day usually. But, the head of growth strategy might be my most common role here at Ready App. But really, my background is all enterprise tech, coming right out of college, working into different software solutions for healthcare, and in particular specific niche healthcare systems, in order to solve workflow automation and process orientation for very complex and very regulated environments is where I got my start. And given that I was in that role, plus I was a non-desk worker, which, as we'll learn, Ready App certainly connects. I was a non-desk worker while working through college to pay for school. It's kind of those two worlds colliding, and I get the needs of the folks that we are actually connecting and how those differ from maybe us all here behind computer screens. The folks, dealing cards or, tending bar are going to have a lot different needs than we might. So I understood that intuitively, and then connecting that to the software piece of it all just clicked in perfectly for me. So that leads me to the last 4 years here. So
yeah,
thanks for having me on.
Thanks, Thor. I want to pick up on Miguel's kind of point around employees and how we can best connect with those folks. I mean, it's not as natural or intuitive, I don't think, as people might think. Most of our buyers actually are not actually the people that are using our product that much. So you really have to get yourself into a mindset of that frontline worker. And I know for myself, one of my first jobs was working at McDonald's when I was 15, kind of a summer job to kind of try to earn some money. That was a non-desk experience.
I did that too.
Yeah, but
You did that too,
your first job was like, that was like top shelf compared to my first job. Jesus Christ. You got juiced into fries or something, I guess.
Yeah, look, I mean, they put me in the back, right? I wasn't pretty enough to be up front. So they had me back flipping burgers. And I had a
good job.
Moment actually where my mom came in to order a cheeseburger, but special order, something like without onions or pickles.
You were the family's best friend. Everybody loved you.
Yeah, no, I got out of my rhythm. When people come in with a special order, that changes the dynamic, and you kind of you're on a roll, and all of a sudden you got to do something a little different. That throws you as a 15-year-old, and so I peeked out to the front counter to say, "Who's ordering this?" And it was my mom, and she was waving there, going, "That's my son," telling the girl.
I want to see a picture. Come on, where's the picture? I know you got a picture with the mop handling, the mop in your hand.
Oh yeah, yeah. And they had the best uniforms. Those brown. That's a classic brown. Actually, it was awful. It was an awful uniform.
Oh, you had the brown. I had the green.
You had the green.
Hat.
Everybody's worked at McDonald's. It's a rite of passage.
Yeah, yeah. You have to.
No, I didn't.
So I mean, but I guess my point is that I think that, for most of us around the mic today, that non-desk environment is probably a distant memory. So if you think back and cast your mind back to what the needs and behaviors of that workforce are, they actually require things very differently to the way we require those same things. I mean, we get our information through a variety of sources. We have kind of we're the pilot in the cockpit, right? We sit down at our desk and we've got our screens and we've got our 20 different tools, and it's fine. And that's how we operate. That's how we are productive. For these folks, being productive is actually producing a material thing or providing a service to an end customer or internally. And that's just a very different set of outputs that are required from what we call information workers ourselves. And that's really, if you think about the genesis of where our company came from, Ready App was created over 10 years ago. So we kind of call ourselves a tech startup, but we actually created a category for employee engagement for this type of worker, specifically the non-desk worker, people who use their hands and tools to keep the world turning, right?
Justin, if I can ask real quick, I know you're talking about what is engagement? When you say engagement, what do you mean when you say engagement? What is that?
Yeah, look, that's a great question, and it's a great question because I guarantee you, if you ask that question to leaders at different organizations, they'll all kind of come up with something different. In fact, if you ask a lot of the businesses out there that we kind of are bundled in with or kind of compete with, they'll say different things as well. So engagement, the reality is that, let's take casino world as an example, and there's a lot to cover here, but the industries we serve are kind of hospitality, which encompasses your world. We serve healthcare, we serve industrial manufacturing, construction, all that type of thing. But let's just focus on casino world for a minute. I mean, traditionally, your commercial model is really based on getting people in the door, getting them to spend their money. That expanded over the years to be more than just gaming. It's hospitality, it's hotels, it's shows, it's restaurants, it's all of that, right? And so that is in the minds of most managers and owners of casinos and casino resort hotels, the majority of the margin, and this hasn't necessarily changed, is from the end consumer, right? The people spending. That's where you make your money. So how do you then differentiate? How do you go beyond that cash cow, if you will, to really expand on your profit margins? Well, you have to look inward at that point. You have to look internally and say, how can I optimize the workforce that I have so that procedurally things happen more quickly, more smoothly, without error? How can I engage with people in a way that is going to make them really want to stay a little bit longer, build that tenure at your organization? And as people stay longer, that's a lot of institutional knowledge that people are building up around your brand. Casino is really unique relative to the other industries we serve, because if I'm a customer and I go to a casino, I'm paying a lot of money to stay at the Sands or wherever it might be. I want to have a good time, and I should be able to approach any employee who's obviously an employee, whether they're a maintenance person or a cleaner or a bartender or a pit boss. I want to be able to approach them. And if I have something I want addressed, I'm in that hospitality world, I think that you expect that they'll have an answer for you, right? So everyone's available to that end consumer. And so the more you can keep your employees engaged and informed and empowered to be able to serve that ultimate customer who's spending that money.
Deliver that, yep.
then that to me is super valuable. And if you have increased turnover, if people leave and you're hiring on new people, that's all cost, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the reality is, on paper, yes, Ready App costs money. And by the way, it's not that much.
Well, that's why I was asking, because it has to be some way. There has to be some always ROI, return on investment.
That's right. That's right. Return on investment. And we've got some numbers around what we think that ROI looks like.
Mm-hmm.
And for each industry, it's a little bit different because the cost of hiring and that turnover can vary quite a bit. But it's a changing picture. I want to talk about employee engagement a little bit, because I haven't really told you exactly what I feel like that definition is for us. If I could come back just for a minute to what other people in the market think it is. I got an email the other day from a company that is a benefits company. And they were called Namely. Namely reaches out, and I get these emails all the time. And so people who are buyers, our buyers, are also getting these emails all the time. And it says, did you know that over the last year, 44% of all Americans were thinking about leaving their job? We know about this. It's called the Great Resignation. We're in the middle of it right now.
I just saw that just yesterday. Yeah,
that's right. So the email was all about, look, we've solved employee engagement, and employee engagement is all about increasing benefits. So buy Namely, and we'll fix your employee engagement problem. We'll fix your turnover. A week ago, I got an email from a rewards and recognition company saying it's all about rewards and recognition. That's the center of the universe. If you give people more rewards and recognition, they'll stay longer. That'll fix your turnover problem. It might be a wellness company. It might be a scheduling company. It might be a communications company. Whatever it is, they all believe they're the center of the universe. For us, though, at Ready App, and I would say this because I'm biased, but I think there's truth in it. If you don't have a genuine connection with a worker where they have a trusted source of information that is always relevant and always accurate, there's nothing worse than getting a bunch of emails that aren't relevant to you. You just stop looking. There's too much noise in the system, right? So if you can have a point of information that you can go and get just those pieces of all those things I mentioned before, benefits, payroll, reward and recognition, just when you need it, because you're not living there every day. You're living in communication and messaging every day. And if you get a relevant connection that can help me add more value in my job, give me a greater sense of purpose in work, that's super important for engagement, and where I can get everything I need in one place, because as an hourly worker, man, I don't live in that cockpit. I don't have all that time. I'm too busy serving drinks to somebody or scrubbing a bathroom floor. I don't have time. So we've done a lot of studies on how much information this worker can receive and how much they can process, given all the other stuff of making the world go around that they have to do. So those are some elements. For us, employee engagement is about creating a relevant connection, almost like a highway through which they can get all their information that they need to in one place in a very succinct and relevant manner. I'm not saying, that reward and recognition is important, or benefits or payroll information is important. Sure, they need that information, but that's not where it starts. It starts with a solid connection. So that for us is what engagement really boils down to. If you don't have that connection, everything else.
You found a way to bring all of those things together, because I know I'm a believer. You don't have to sell me the car. You've seen the movie Used Cars. You ever see that movie years ago where, you don't have to sell me because I smelled the leather. I felt the comfort. The guy says, hey, get in, just get him in the car. Just get him to smell the leather, feel the dashboard, and you got the car. So why? I felt the leather. That's why I'm a firm believer. And I know, because most of the time when you say those things, the reason why I say that, Justin, you say that to people and it's just a bunch of words. It's just a bunch of data. It's just more studies and statistics. And, when you have your Ready app in front of me, or I don't see it, and you're telling me these things, well, it sounds all that, hoity-toity, this is great stuff, and we're going to get a lot of value. I'm going to change the culture.
Yeah.
But until somebody gets to drive that vehicle and smell it and see the results, because people are afraid of new technology. We are, until next thing you know, we're using it every day. So,
That's right.
you have a powerful tool for labor optimization. So walk us through the cost savings model and how does the end user, take this new technology and become engaged. If you get more into the tangible part of it to help us out.
Well, I'm going to give Thor an opportunity to just let that boil for a minute. Thor, think about the right kind of answer for that, because that's an important one. And while he's thinking about that, I just want to talk about, you mentioned until you get in the car and smell the leather and drive off, and then that seat starts to wear and it gets really comfortable, and it's like, oh wow, how can I live without leather seats that are heated? In winter, I didn't know I needed this. I actually really need it, and there's benefits to that. I show up wherever I'm feeling pressure and more comfortable. So that it's really important what you're talking about there, because most of our customers come to us and they're thinking about a simple problem. They think it's a simple problem. I need to connect and engage with my employees.
It's not simple. It's not simple.
And there's a complexity. You can go out and create a communications app tomorrow. I mean, that's easy to do. And that's why it's so confusing for the market. The market's saying, is it benefits? Is it wellness? Is it communication? Everybody's saying we do employee engagement, we fix that. How do I separate the wheat from the chaff? So in that really crowded marketplace, our buyer persona, who by the way is a desk worker, right? And not a non-desk worker. And because of that, our buyer persona, it's something like a $70 billion market, right? To go after employee engagement. Every Fortune 500 company is trying to figure that out. Why? Because there's some event, right? There has to be some kind of material change that's going on for people to go, I need that now. A year ago, I think about 20% of Fortune 500 companies were searching for employee engagement. Now it's like 80%. Almost all of them are searching for employee engagement. Just a year later, what happened? Well, the Great Resignation happened. That's one. Impact of COVID really made companies review what they were doing. And I think those two things are related. COVID probably led to a lot of the Great Resignation because people are like, man, life is short. What am I doing? I need to figure this out. There's rise of hacking. There's a big event where it's like, oh man, I lost all communication with my people, and that had a big impact. On top of that, you got employee expectations are changing now, right? People are living in this social media world. They get everything through their smartphone. They live there, right? And so they kind of are having growing expectations that they can get that from work. However, the buyer persona, I'm going to come back to that. We're going after those fine wine buyers, right? Not at a price of fine wine is actually very affordable, but to come back and find that buyer who appreciates their employees, who really values what kind of business benefits that we can bring to the table. It really is progressive leadership and forward thinking that's required. And unfortunately, in our industries, particularly in manufacturing, construction, then probably hospitality, then probably healthcare, in terms of how much training the employees are required to have in that order, they tend to be quite laggard industries. So a lot of the leadership at these corporations and companies are still in an old mode of thinking about technology and IT and things like that. We're looking for people who can see what it is we're offering, what our value proposition is, what we think employee engagement looks like, and go, yeah, I can see a little bit of the future there, right? Because as you say, Bruce, until they sit down in the leather and smell it and live in it for a while, our success journey takes time, right? You get in and you go, oh, this is good. And oh, you can do this, and I can help you with that. And over time,
leadership is generational, and we're bean counters also. It's about, especially when there was a guy before me or Miguel or Hina in her business that wasn't too savvy about the cost savings, driving revenue and controlling costs. So now, especially now with COVID, post-COVID, that there was a lot of savings going on and things like that. Or for an example. So with that, I know for a fact that there's opportunity with an app like this, with situations like COVID and connecting with people that were on furlough and so you know, and connecting people engagement, you know. So you were telling Thor to jump in there. I'm gonna push Thor in
People
there.
are tired of hearing me.
No, not really. I'm just gonna push him in there because I know that we connect on a lot of things, and also Miguel and Hina, we're gonna smack each other around this morning and to wake this up, because this is an important subject here. And so, you know, I'm definitely not going to be talking all the time either. So shut me up.
Thor's got some great examples of how this adds value. That COVID one's a good one. I'm sure he'll pick up on. But Thor, do you want to jump in and kind of describe some scenarios?
Of course. And you know, Bruce, the reality is we do fairly detailed ROI modeling for any potential client that we're going to partner up with around all of the different categories that ReadyApp impacts. Because when we're talking, and especially in a casino environment, you know, call it 1,000 employees in a particular casino, where the non-desk workforce is usually 70-80% of that workforce, and it's touching a lot of different departments, spots and table games and food and beverage and housekeeping. It's touching all those different departments, and there's so many opportunities in each of those silos to improve workflow automation, improve cost savings, whether that be less paper that you're printing off for forms, or it's even the productivity saved for an employee shipping a form straight from their pocket instead of walking down to an HR office, picking it up, filling it out, putting it in a filing cabinet that who knows where it goes. They can send it straight from their pocket and have it route directly where they need it to. All those things add up, and ReadyApp, fills in all of those different gaps as that connection piece for those non-desk employees to streamline that productivity and automation, cost savings along all of those categories, as well as you mentioned, Bruce, labor optimization, which is around shift fulfillment. We actually developed that feature of ReadyApp, the shifts feature, in a casino environment, specifically to allow employees of the same job code and job type to swap shifts amongst each other and send that off to a scheduling system, so that that's all happening seamlessly as employees are able to swap those and take that burden off of a manager to send a group text out to their team. Stuff like that just becomes very cumbersome and unwieldy, and certainly not internal to an organization. We're encapsulating all of that and streamlining it out. So among those different things and those specific challenges that we're solving at the non-desk end user level, we're also looking at, as you mentioned, COVID, messaging, but in particular, the constantly changing environment that's not specific to COVID, although certainly that was the case, when that started and ongoing, but all of the constantly changing things that are happening. How do we let employees know when the furlough is over, when casinos are opening back up, if there's inclement weather, or
Exactly.
computer on site, those sorts of things.
Exactly.
Connecting all of those employees in that way helps to manage that process. But all of that being said, all of those nitty-gritty details that we do in our ROI modeling are relevant and important. But what it all builds to, and kind of the end result, the outcome of a ReadyApp deployment, is an increase in retention, which in our current climate of this post-COVID Great Resignation is of paramount importance. That I'd hazard to guess that's why we see all these Fortune 500 companies looking for engagement now. And ReadyApp solves for that specifically by letting employees get what they need when they need it, and it not only have what they need in their pocket, but also be connected to the appropriate peers and people that they need to interact with in order to do their job better, as well as potentially improve guest experience. When a guest comes up and asks them a question, they can pull the answer right out of their pocket and have that available on the fly, rather than saying,
that reminds me of, and one of the properties I remember, we actually issued all the employees a little booklet, a little book that they would have. And when employees were asked by guests a certain directions or about a certain promotion, they can pull out this book and go in that book. Now, here's the reality though. Here's the real world. The first month, the first day, the first week, first month, the first 2 months, 3 months, it was the hot thing. It was a new initiative that somebody came in from team member relations, and it started off with a high priority, and however, once the energy was consumed and no one was holding anyone accountable for it, it dissipated, it went away, and it didn't no longer continue for however the longevity of that promotion or that idea worked. It was fine, but instead of seeing 60% of the staff have them, now it got down to less than 5% of people had those books on their possession, because
and to tack on, I mean, just in the reprinting of that as new promo or anything comes out, I mean, what does that cost? What distributing that, and then it loses steam instead of being able to immediately place an update in an employee's pocket, not in an intrusive way that's going to overload them with stuff, but so they have it when they need it. Really, we think of it as a one-stop app for your employees. And what we mean by that is not just messaging and communication out to appropriate peers, coworkers, teams, as decided by the organization. Not just those things, although that's probably the main piece of it, but we also provide the resources on the fly that are permissioned by job code and role and location and language they speak and all these different things, as well as potential forms that they might need to fill out in order to put in a maintenance request. If there's a broken window on floor 3 and we need to follow up to make sure that that's completed, how does that happen? Or if we need to have an allowance for a certain number of chips being exchanged at the cage, those sorts of things, all of those forms can be put in an employee's pocket, but then perhaps even more importantly, routed directly where they need to go immediately for sign off and approval at that next level, as well as shifts and allowing employees and schedulers and managers of their teams to better fulfill the shifts that are available. We customize that feature for each of our clients based on what their needs are. But the reality is when shifts are implemented, shift fulfillment goes up, more employees are on site doing their job. So all those things bundled up, wrapped together, result in that retention number that we're talking about, which is the culmination of that ROI modeling that we do. And in our experience and what we've seen from our clients, it's clear to us that the winners during this Great Resignation are the folks that are actually listening to their employees during all of this. And it's almost woeful how few organizations are actually prepared to listen to their employees about what their needs are, because they're so focused on one-way communication, getting information out, that they're missing that other piece of what is my employee experiencing, what are they feeling, and how can I adjust for that during this Great Resignation.
Right.
And then you want to be able to kind of get that feedback, right, Thor, without creating a ton of extra noise. We've all been on those kind of reply all emails that just go on forever, and people, and then it just creates
it's the worst.
the noise in your inbox. And Thor, how do we fix that?
Yeah, absolutely. It's by creating relevance within the platform itself and by the employees within that platform. So every individual user of Ready App is going to have a unique user experience. It'll be fairly similar to others, but the actual permissions and groups and roles that they're in are automatically built by our AI on the back end. So to walk you through the end user experience, you start working at a new casino, for example, that you just started at. On their end, the hiring process is done. They've added you to the HR system. Ready App then feeds off of that. So it's going to the platform will automatically send you, the employee, an invite to your personal text messaging or personal.
I have mine right here. I got my Ready App right here. So my Ready App here, I have an icon that I downloaded at the App Store. It says Ready App, correct?
Yeah, and the beauty of it, Bruce, is because we're sending you that link, we're actually following the authorization through that link. So when you download Ready App from the App Store, that's where the link sends you.
So you don't need IT to set this up. Not that we don't need IT, we definitely need IT. but this is this feature and setting it up now as a company, it's not something where you got to set up all of these firewalls and things like that and all of these systems and servers. You have that contained within the app, right? Because Miguel, exactly what it is and how it works.
Yeah, the beauty of the Ready App is that everybody has it. Once you download it on your phone, you have the ability now to start communicating within particular groups set up by position. If you are in casino operations, for instance, your group is in there, group for supervisors, group for pit bosses, group for dealers, and everybody who's involved within the operation. So when we want to put something out, for instance, whenever I wanted to send out a message to the masses that would reach the casino operations people, I just put the message out and everybody would get it, and they could answer back to me if they decided to do so or if they had a question. The one of the things that I liked the most about the system was that at any given point, my employees could reach out to me for an answer or for a question or to see me, and I could tell them, yes, come on in at 3:00. I'll be available and I'll meet with you. So that ability, they don't have to move from their work area to see my secretary and said, is Miguel available today for 5 minutes? No, they just reach out to the app, send me a message, and I could answer right back to them. I said, yes, I'll be available.
The question somebody would have right away, Miguel, that the antennas go up. Now, I work directly for you, and I have someone that is a subordinate of mine. Are they going over my head? That's the question now.
That question rises all the time, but you got to have an open door policy, and if you do, you're engaged more with your employees, and they love that. That is something that the employees like. I can reach out to the top guy if I need to. Of course, you try all the time to go through the chain of command, but it is something. If the person had already go through the chain and they didn't get the right answer that they were looking for, they can reach out directly to me, and I would tell them, yes, come on in. If I would make time, I would make 5-10 minutes for you, so we can sit down and see what I can do for you.
Well, actually,
that is something. Yeah.
There were times when I would actually encourage them. I said, I'm not able to take care of this, but tell you what, why don't you shoot Miguel a message on Ready app and see what he says and see what he thinks, get his involvement, something like that.
Yeah.
If I may, guys, I mean, what you guys are describing is a perfect example of creating a culture of listening, which is engagement with employees, which is
exactly. That's where I wanted to go.
I
wanted to get to that, Thor. That's what I was trying to do here. I mean,
I cut you off. Sorry.
No, go ahead. I was trying to move it like that. I wanted to time you. You came in right on time. Go ahead. Keep going.
He has you on the ropes now. Go ahead.
I just wanted to jump in and point that out, because that is so important that it's not the tech per se. Ready App allows for these things to happen.
That's engagement.
And as the results in engagement, right? And because to use an example, we've got a cohort of casinos representing about 24,000 employees. They're just over 80% voluntary adoption of Ready App amongst those 24,000, but we're making over 1 million changes a month to that sample size of employees to make sure they're always in the right place. When they come in, they've got exactly what they need at their fingertips the second they've downloaded the app. IT is not doing it, HR is not doing it, the employee is certainly not doing it because they never would anyway. But it's all right there for them. And then across that 24,000, we've got these 1 million changes as employees move positions or permissions that they might have to view certain resources as their roles change, or even when they leave, we're removing them and wiping their Ready App clean, so that all of the burden of change management is removed from the organization and the employee, and it's thoughtfully connected the right people to the right resource and team, et cetera, that allows for exactly what you guys are describing. And to you all, it probably, correct me if I'm wrong, but it probably was just open up and go. And now I can, have my team message me or vice versa. And I didn't have to think about it. It was just there for me.
Well, before you guys came in, Hina, and Miguel, we were having a discussion about an experience she had at a property. We won't say the property name. And we had a discussion yesterday because it was the last minute. She was going to be filling in for Casa. And so we discussed, she asked, well, what Ready App is? And she says, man, that sounds like something that they could have used at this other property. And Hina, what was that experience that you said that you had?
Well, I mean, it was a brand new property, right? And they're all trying to get the information out to each department and every employee, whether it was uniforms, you had to go get uniforms, whether it was licensing, whether it was this or that, and the timing of we're going to have to push the grand opening one more day or one more week. And so, there was so much information that they needed to get done. And I just went, you guys need to be automated. There is some way, I go, there has to be something out there that is an automated portion for you to use for all of your employees. And that after they were discussing and everything else like that, they ended up using you guys. So I was very proud of that. I was very proud of the fact that they, that they had done that. There was one thing that I wanted to ask, if you guys don't mind, and I don't want to, it's not that I want to ask, but I wanted to bring this up in regarding to the engagement that Justin had talked about and Thor. Having been in the casino industry, there are so many departments that need to utilize this. So when you read about Ready App on your website and you hear about it, you have some departments go, yeah, that doesn't have anything to do with us, but it does. Every single department within a casino industry should have this and be involved with this and be involved with hearing about it as well. Because just because it's for HR, it is not. It is for everyone. And to engage all of the employees, it's also to engage the employees who don't speak English. So when you had talked about Thor, languages and things like that, that's where we lose them. And we lose the engagement of our older, young at heart age group when it comes to new technology with a phone. I am part of that baby boomers.
Stop talking about me. You're talking about me too. I don't appreciate that. That's
so
not
any
nice.
new technology, they go, look, my grandchildren have to teach me how to use the phone, and swipe to the left and swipe to the right. But yours is so user friendly. And then after you're saying that, look, as soon as the person comes on board, they have their app, they know, I looked at it, right? So you are able to hit all generations, all language barriers. Because of the fact that you guys have taught that. So you didn't just engage those who speak English. You didn't just engage those who are millennials who use these phones like there are no tomorrow. You also engaged those who are the silent gens, your Gen X, and those are the ones that, will say, I don't want to work for this company anymore. I don't want to do this anymore.
Hina, it's interesting that you bring it up, particularly in the upper ranges of the age groups that might be less tech savvy, because I'd be willing to bet you most of them, if not all of them, have a smartphone, and on that smartphone they have Facebook, so they can see pictures of their grandkids because it's relevant for them. It's stuff they want to see. We take that same concept behind Ready App to make it stuff that they need to do their jobs, but it's relevant for them. It's not intrusive. It's not noise. It's really meaningful tools to help them. And then on top of that, just make it dead simple to get in and start using. It has to be, or else no one's going to use it. That's where we see success with that group. Well, really all groups, but also including, that group as well. And on top of that, for folks that speak different languages, we'll send out the magic links in the different language, so that, I know if I got a text message out of the blue that I wasn't expecting that came in a different language, I'm not going to click that link. I mean, you know how that would look. But if it's saying, hey, welcome to your new job, this is how we're going to communicate with you. Go download here. It's no cost to you in my language. I'm going to go do that. And then the way that Ready App is set up is once you're in Ready App, it's native to the user interface is native to whatever language your phone is set to. So they're not even having to go into settings and things. It's already there, set up for what they need to interact with. And it's just so intuitive for them to go in and start going.
That is brilliant. That is absolutely 100% brilliant, because some of the cashless technologies that are out today, they hit the millennial group. It's that, young at heart and Gen X, silent Gen, that it doesn't hit. Right. So now within the casino industry, especially what I call the non-Native American, so I call it the traditional, so such as your corporate, casinos and things like that. There are quite a few of the young at heart group, the baby boomers and the silent gens that are working and have been working for 30 years, 25 years, things like that. And that helps. I mean, to have that phone and to have that app readily available for all ages, for all learning curves, right? That's spot on.
Yeah.
Every casino should have this.
What makes, we couldn't agree more, yeah, let's make that happen. No, but it requires a different way of thinking about it, and also separating the wheat from the chaff. Our unique selling points are, Thor's talked a lot about, are, the million changes that we do across those casinos that we serve. We know, Ready App knows probably more about any individual worker than maybe the company does at any given time. We know who they work for. We know what job codes they can apply to their role. We know all these things, and we do that automatically. And not only that, I mean, that design that we've been talking about, which, by the way, is very intentional. We actually spent time with dealers and pit bosses, on the floor, talking to waiters and waitresses, saying, what behaviors do you have, and what do you need out of technology? The guys in Silicon Valley, or Europe or wherever, where they just pump out like tech every 24 hours, tech solutions, are very kind of surface only. You scratch that surface, and below there, it just kind of falls away. And what a lot of our so-called competitors have focused on is trying to create a reflection of what you see in your personal life. Thor mentioned Facebook, Twitter, name another one, Instagram, whatever it is. This viral usage and this kind of, Facebook wants you to be in there all the time. They want you to live in there, as does Twitter, as does, you're living in there all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So our workers don't have time for that, even though a lot of our competitors have basically tried to replicate what happens in a social setting in the workspace through look and feel and also operation. Whereas we've come at it from very much like, hey, what do you need? You need bite-sized 2-3 nuggets a day, whatever it is. That's it. We don't want you to use it virally, because that doesn't help you in your job. Like, you won't keep your job very long if you're just on your phone, like taking pictures of food displays in the buffet area, sending out to the team saying, doesn't this look amazing? Just trying to get those thumbs up. That's not value add in terms of operations. So that design is very intentional from the user's perspective. And what we wanted to do though, is make it intuitive, so it looks and feels like text messaging or email, so that all those generations are kind of like, oh yeah, this looks easy. I can do this. But yet at the same time, it has to also tick a box for the corporate. The corporate wants to be able to have it good for them as well. So you can't just apply blindly that social media style of communication. You have to drive operational efficiency out of it as well. Workflow, that broken glass scenario, broken window scenario that you described, where things just happen more quickly. And ultimately that impacts the ultimate customer's experience of a casino environment. If I walk up and say, hey, there's a stain on the carpet, and I grab the waitress walking by, I'm like, hey, I just wanted to point this out. Like it's ruining my vibe or whatever. I don't know.
With my Ready app, I can take a picture of it and send it straight to maintenance.
That's right.
It goes right to maintenance.
It gets routed to the manager.
We want to kind of get into some of the features. Well, we talked about a lot of the granular things, but for the non-tech person and for the person that would use us every day, that's what Miguel and I want to really get into right now, because Miguel's sitting on the edge of his seat, because I know how Miguel was when I first came to Punta Cana. I had already experienced Ready App in Tampa with the Hard Rock organization for several years, and so when I got here, one of the first meetings I had with the staff was, what's going on here at this property? And it kept coming up. Communication, they don't hear what we're saying. I don't know what's going on. They make changes. We don't know what's happening. Discuss it with Miguel. Hey, guess what? There's this great app that's out there. Man, it would change our world. Miguel didn't hesitate. He trusted me. We brought that in. It was like bringing fire to a caveman. It changed the whole culture, because everyone's on their phone on their break, especially here in the Dominican Republic, WhatsApp, and those are the things that people connect with, and they're communicating with Facebook and all of those things. Next thing you know, there was no more paper notes on the wall where the schedule was when they're making schedule changes. This person wants to change their day off with this person. They want to switch time starts and things. And so they would take those notes and would have to go to the manager. They would have to get a form. They fill out the form. They sign it. Now I have to find whoever that was, Miguel, or Jorge. Jorge, here it is. And Jorge is off today. So now I have to leave it at the desk, the scheduling office, and Jorge, I left a note at scheduling office. So when you're coming on your after your days off, now when he finally comes in, there's the paperwork. He signs it. He has to take it back to scheduling office, and now the scheduling manager has to look at the schedule and approve it. It's a lot of heavy lifting, right? So now they got Ready App. I look like a genius coming in here. Look, this Bruce coming here, right? Now they brought this app in. I can go to my phone. I can put in the day off that I want to change, just press the button, and whoever wants to pick it up, or if Jorge already knows I'm going to put it in, Jorge hits this, he sees it on his phone, he presses the button, it goes immediately at lightning speed to the scheduling manager, he hits approve, and it's right there, and it changes the schedule automatically, no heavy lifting. That was just one thing. Early out lists, all types of things could do on my phone. Right, Miguel?
One of the things that we saw with when we activated Ready App was how involved the employees got. Bruce, you remember the number was like over 90% of our people were using it constantly. They were changing their schedules there. They were doing the forms with human resources. If they had an issue,
yes.
If they had an issue with their health insurance,
Benefits enrollment, yeah.
So everybody got involved at every point. Even myself, I was involved with it because I was getting the notifications all the time, and so many features that they were using it and getting benefit out of it. Not only the employees, but we ourselves get benefit.
The training films,
training, yes.
A new procedure. We put a film on, a little film clip of and the instructor going through the procedure. Could be a shuffling procedure. Boom, it's on the phone.
Yeah.
It was on the phone, so they could see it and they could go right into it. And that was one of the questions that I wanted to ask Thor. I mean, I've been a user of Ready App for a while, but I've been off Ready App for the last almost 2 years that I have retired. Anything new coming up? And what's new with Ready App now that we could tell the people so they could, what can they do that they weren't able to do before, or what's in the pipeline to come up with new features?
Yeah, and absolutely. We've got very soon, I think as soon as maybe not April 1st, but perhaps May 1st, we're unveiling our app hub, which is, as I said earlier, kind of we want Ready App to be the one-stop app, but app hub is kind of the realization of the idea of opening the Ready App ecosystem for all employee services that an employee might need. So Justin was kind of touching on a few earlier, but we're talking things like rewards and recognition, or learning management systems, or scheduling, or benefits enrollment, or check your pay stub in your payroll system. We're going to be able to house those all within the Ready App menu, so that we can push employees without having to sign into their other provider. We can authorize them and push them directly to those specific things they might need within another system.
Can you give us an example, Thor, if you could, please? I know that we had a brief talk yesterday or the day before. You mentioned like this virtual roster, where they have some features on virtual roster that you also have, but just if you would just walk us through an example, please.
Yeah, virtual roster is a great one just to push to push into that system to make potentially a shift, swap, or change within virtual roster.
So now you're integrating with other companies now. And when you do that, do you need their permissions to do that, or is that something that's up to the company?
Yeah, we'll play nice with anybody, and we're opening up the stable and bringing in as many thoroughbreds as we can from Kentucky.
Yeah, I mean, at its most basic level, we don't need permission. We can just provide a link. But our preference is to kind of become more fully integrated, where we do the auth forwarding or single sign-on, where we can go into their system. Traditionally, like benefits companies or payroll companies don't like to allow, kind of a single
access.
sign-on. Yeah. So they're a little bit more, but we can provide a link to that sign-in page, all via the Ready app.
Cool.
I mean, an example that comes to my mind, a virtual roster is one where you can optimize that, shift swapping, et cetera. We in a casino space, we work with a reward and recognition company, and talk about saving some money. If you think about what you would have spent on a system like reward and recognition for all your employees, and imagine that only 2 to 5% of your employees are utilizing that, but yeah, you're paying something for it. What we found was when we let them ride on our Ready app highway on the app hub, the usage of that other platform, it's not even ours, but the employees suddenly, because we're able to kind of automate messages and say, hey, would you like to look at your rewards balance? And we could integrate and really optimize use of that rewards and recognition platform through the Ready app infrastructure, and usage of that other platform skyrocketed. It went up by 20 times or something.
Is there any integration with any payroll issues with, say, our administration? If I'm in the casino and things happen on my paycheck and there's an error, we would have to go in and submit an error of not an error for notification. I forget the name of it. Miguel, do you remember the name of
A payroll adjustment.
Payroll adjustment form? Is that now integrated?
Well, there's all sorts. I mean, that specific example, I can't speak to right off the top of my head, but another new thing, since you guys have kind of left Punta Cana, we've also launched our public API. So if you have some technical skill, or you can get help from us, we have one location. I'll give a different example. This was actually in the healthcare industry, long-term care. They had something like 150 campuses. And COVID is a major concern, obviously, within long-term communities. So they, on their side, their developers took our public API and were able to, whenever a COVID case was reported at a particular one of those 150 locations, what happened was everyone who was working at that location on that day or that week or whatever they set it to would get notified about that automatically. So, with those public APIs, the type of integration that you guys are talking about is certainly within the realm of possibility. And I imagine that a lot of the casino operations out there will also have like in-house IT or developing capability where they could look at those public APIs, as long as they work closely with operations and operations say, hey, I want it to be able to do this. Then it's available and free to access.
So there's a lot of customization that still goes on. And Hina, I wanted to tell you that Hina, also we had that ability. We had like a package when we bought it. We had signed on to an agreement to this particular package. This was included in our package. X amount of forms. We had a customer success person. That's a person that was partnered with us. That person held our hand through the whole process. Was there every hour if they wanted, every minute, every month. In fact, they actually came over because, of course, why not come and visit Punta Cana? But but that was one thing that we sort of developed ourselves because we were out of the country. So there were some issues, or there were challenges that we had because of the language difference, and so we had to have forms translated. Miguel had came up with a different type of a form he wanted to be able to use with his in his position with the high-end customers and dealing with discounts and sign-offs. And what was the name of it, Miguel?
The allowance payment form.
Authorization form.
Allowance authorization form. Like we all in the gaming business, some executives have to authorize payments to customers or discounts, casino discounts, airfares, and things of that sort. Usually that happens either very late at night or very early in the morning when the person is leaving, and sometimes the person who's authorized to sign is not on property. So usually what happens is they call you from the casino cage and they tell you, well, Hina Reed is here. She wants her airfare paid or she wants her discount. And a process had to be started with that. I got a call then and says, oh, let me call you back. I have to hang up with them, call my office, says, how did Hina play? Did she qualify?
Mhm.
All these things would take time. So with Thor, we devised the form. We got the form ready, and then we did a procedure in which the cage would send me directly the form already filled out,
Through Ready app.
print out a print through Ready app, a printout of the customer's play. So all I had to do was look at it and says, okay, Hina qualified. I would sign with my finger. I would sign the authorization form and send it right back. So it was done in a couple of minutes instead of a long period of time.
Yeah.
Mind you, guys, you have to understand this is the most important dynamic. The reason why he was signing a discount, Miguel, when do discounts happen?
Well, when discounts happen, when a customer loses
When they lose.
a set amount of money.
Do you think they
So-
want to wait around for somebody to have to
wanna
come
wait.
around to get their
Yeah.
sort of a rebate? You think they have
Yeah.
enough patience? So that was huge,
Yeah.
huge.
I had a high roller.
Yeah,
That happened to me.
That cut the time. So the customer is there. At that point, he's there. And sometimes might be, like within the procedure, it says, okay, we knew that Hina was leaving on Monday morning. So Sunday evening, if she was done playing, the shift manager and the cage people would get together, get everything done and send it to me. So I would get it Sunday night. I would sign off on it. When Hina got there, all she had to do was sign her part and it was done. She would get her airfare, she would get her discount, her rebate and leave. So there was a very short interaction with her in the cage and the procedure was done completely. Customer was satisfied and they would leave with no problems. So as Bruce says, we don't want to have a person waiting there for somebody to be reached, see if he's in the mood or if he just got up or did he have his coffee this morning? No, it was done. It was done. The person didn't have to wait. The customer don't have to wait. And the procedure was smooth and they were going their way.
I love that story.
Hina, I'm going to ask you this. In the cage department, the slot department, slot area, when you're in the casino,
Mhm.
did on cost savings when it came time to saving hourly employees, so the volume of business was slow, so we reduced staff based on people volunteering. We have early out lists. Did you guys have early out lists?
Yes.
Okay. So now with the early out list, and guys, we already know this stuff, but this is for the sake of the people who are going to be coming to, when we'll talk about NIGA, because you guys are going to be there. And for people who don't know about Ready App, we want to, push this along because people need to know this. That's why we're here. That's why we're on this podcast to talk about authentic things that are real, that are honest, that people need to know. This is an information platform. So let me give you the real sauce here, okay? It's not a secret sauce, it's the real sauce. It's got some spices in it too. So one of the spices that's in this sauce is that on the early out list, because the manager has to reduce staff based on the volume of business, so the team members can sign the list. And they have to go to one specific area to sign this list to make sure that it's fair. So they go to one centralized area, so nobody's what's the word I want to use?
Jumping
the list. Okay, there's no circumvention. That's the word I want to use. It's more proper. So anyway, there's no circumvention of the list, right? And so it also goes by what time start do you have, and how early can you come into work to sign this list, because you can't camp out so you can be first on the list, right? So all of these type of issues come up to make sure this list is managed fairly. So guess what? Now with Ready App, the list is not in a centralized location. It's on the phone. You go to Ready App and there's a list. You put the time start in. What time did you start? It goes on the list and it gets populated based on the time that you organize.
You're Kristen.
Based on time that you start work and the time that you actually signed it. And so you don't have to go to a pit area and stand around and wait for the manager to come bring the list and then come and get the list, because people also, during the shift, because they need to get off work because it's a holiday, it was Christmas Eve, and every break they're going to the list to see who's next, to see whose name is crossed off on the list, because I got three more ahead of me. And that three more could be 5 minutes or it could be 3 hours before they get knocked
Yeah.
off. You know what I mean? So that's another
And
example.
by the same token, Bruce, all the tools that you need
All the
to
tools.
do your job, and to assist you in
Mhm.
doing your job the right way are there.
Go ahead, Thor. I know you want to talk about that, don't you? The leaders for each department who gets to broadcast
Yeah.
messages.
Absolutely, and it's a specific feature within Ready App called feature isn't quite the right word. It's maybe a permission that's
Permission,
given
yes.
to the leaders of an organization called notifiers. So
Notify.
as a notifier, I broadcast rights to all of slots if I'm over that group, and there might be multiple notifiers for that group. There might just be one, but the idea is when you send a message out to that entire group, and that might be 500 people, let's call it. It's not a group message like we're going to experience in our personal text messaging back and forth, but rather like someone with a microphone or megaphone, rather saying their message out to a big crowd of people. Any responses that someone might have come back one-to-one to that person. Again, creating the relevant noise. That's a message from my boss or my boss's boss, most likely. But then if anyone responds back, it's not blowing up everyone's inbox. Is a process of just noise containment, really.
Yeah. And that as you're talking and I think about the car analogy again, I mean, I'm not going to disparage our competitors too much, but I think when you buy a Ford, you get the model and it arrives, and that's what you got. But we are a chassis on which, using the APIs and the app hub and the other features and functions and that smart technology, that intelligence engine, that relevance engine that kind of drives the whole thing, you can customize that vehicle kind of like a Formula One car in any way that you want. So we're creating the architecture. We've created the architecture, and no two customers of Ready App use it in exactly the same way. It is anything but kind of cookie cutter, and that's what really sets us apart. If people are willing to look under the hood.
Well, everything that we have talked about so far is all about that engagement, everything that each department can use and be part of. The one thing that hit me the most for every one of you who have talked about this, and as a former operator within the casino industry and still, within the casino industry, is everyone always talks about, or your CFO will say, well, how much does it cost? You guys are all telling me about these, about all of these benefits and things like that, but down at the end of the day, how much is this going to cost? Can you really put a price, and this is why I wanted all of the departments to be involved in this decision-making, because in a way, yes, I can put a price into it, Mr. CFO, by my high roller, what we just talked about in regards to his, what Miguel had talked about when, at 2 o'clock in the morning, a decision needs to be made. Would that high roller have left? Would that person have said, that's it, I'm not going to play here anymore. It took me this long to do this. How much does that cost compared to how much did it cost for this price of an app that we could have done it within 5 minutes versus half an hour, and get this high roller back to playing, versus we just sat there trying to make a decision. The forms had to, go from point A to point B. They had to call back the authorization person to say, yes, we can do this or we can't do this. How much is that worth, right? How much is it worth for our employees that, we're now short-staffed and we couldn't get anybody because we're sitting here calling on the phone, versus here's an app. And they go, if I would have known, I would have been here. I would have come, but I was maybe fifth on the list to call and see if you could make it in, right? So the pricing value that's the reason why I wanted all departments to be part of your Ready App, because that pricing, I don't care how much it costs, your ROI is almost immediate.
Yeah, I know it pays for itself within the first day, I would argue. It's very quick return on investment.
Yes.
And I'll let Thor talk about pricing, but I want to couch that, whatever Thor's going to say, in a thing that maybe most of our buyers might recognize. How much would you pay for an email package for your employees? Which, by the way, our workers don't use email. They just don't. So what, $8-10 per employee, something like that, for a Microsoft Office suite or something.
Yeah. It's about right.
Yeah, let's call it 10, just round, that we've seen. Is that correct, Thor, based on our research?
Yeah, 8 to 10 in that range, just like anything volume
Yeah.
applies.
So there's no hesitation because people are like, well, you have to be able to communicate, right? So of course we're going to get email for our desk workers because that's how do we get anything done? Got to have it. But if you apply that same thinking to your entire workforce, which by the way, in a casino world, I think about 80% of all your workforce are
Non-desk.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
something like that. Yeah.
So
right,
Thor,
right there.
how
Yeah.
much does it cost, Thor? Ready app?
Well, I keep making this offer to CFOs that I'll give it to you for 10% of your ROI.
But it's low
Keep not
price.
taking me up on me.
And if you act now,
Yeah. Right. No, I mean, it's readyapp.com/pricing, folks. We're transparent for anyone who may be listening. If you are curious, it's there. It's tiers 2, 4, and 6. I think the gold package
Per
is
employee per month.
listed. Yeah, per employee per month.
$2,
Is the model
$4, and
also set.
$2, $4, and $6.
Right. And it's just really choose your own adventure on what level of not just features, but also level of service you need.
And wait. And if they mention Cheques Play Casino Podcast, how much is it?
Absolutely. Well, that's a promo
We'll
that
talk. We'll talk. We'll talk. about it.
$1.99.
We'll talk.
$1.99.
We'll talk.
Right.
We'll talk.
$3.99 and
Put you on the
Somehow you knew
spot.
about the promo already.
yeah. Well, for the first time, guys, you're going to be at NIGA coming up now.
Yeah.
If you want to let the audience know where can they see you at NIGA, what booth you're going to be on, invite everybody to stop by, and you can see a live demo of the
Yep.
product and how it suits your needs for your company. And you can ask questions right there.
I think I
and
just
you
had the
can ask-
forms up. Did you guys see it when I had it up?
Yes.
Okay.
Some of the forms that we have
The different
within
benefits, yeah.
within our structure, Bruce showed up there. But it'll be good for them to see you in person and
Yeah.
talk with you about the benefits of Ready App for their operations and
They'll be
see
in
what
Cali,
they can do
right?
for them.
It's in Anaheim. It's in the convention center right across from Disneyland. So you can, 2 for 1. Go see Disneyland and then come to NIGA and the convention center on what are the days and our booth, Thor, for when we're out there?
The convention is April 19th through the 22nd. I believe we're there the 20th through the
will you be there on Wednesday and Thursday, correct, for
Wednesday,
on the
Thursday.
floor? Mhm.
Yeah.
And the booth number?
608.
Perfect.
So Justin and I'll be there both. It's right by the right-hand side entrance as you're coming in. We'll be there in person, and it's a timely conversation because right after this, I'm actually going to go hand select a bottle of bourbon that we're going to be kind of raffling off as well. So
we're gonna give Hina a shameless plug too. Hina's gonna be there as well with next gen technology. So we have to give you some pub on that, some promo on that because you're here helping us out.
You're here
That's-
with us. Yeah.
We don't have any gin or bourbon or anything, but we can give you some promo. So Hina will be there. In fact, you guys can be there, and hopefully you guys can meet personally in
Oh,
person.
absolutely.
Of course.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
I will
Both
definitely be
Thor
by
and
your
I-
booth.
Yeah, both Thor and I will be coming. Thor will bring his Nerf gun hammer that he has at the office.
get that question a lot.
Nerf hammer, and then
I
our
adore
CEO as well. Our CEO Jonathan Irwin and founder of Ready App. He is kind of our inspirational, guiding light for all things creative that have made Ready App what it is today. So he's brilliant to talk to. I would encourage anyone.
You can't be more brilliant than you guys. I'm telling you, you guys are awesome. You guys are like, I mean, all day I can. Oh my God, man! You're you like this talk another language, man. When we talk, because
But when
um,
we see such a nice product like this,
we get excited.
We want people to see it. We want people to experience it, and believe me,
mhm.
being a user of the product myself. It did help me a lot. It did help my operation a lot, and people were engaged 100%. Everybody was using the product, the app. You carry it with you 24 hours a day, because nowadays, who doesn't have their phone on? So sometimes I call people and they tell me, "Oh, I forgot my phone." I say, "Oh, this guy's lying to me. Nobody forgets their phone anymore. You just didn't want to talk to me." Tell me
Haven't you seen the proliferance of people who worked, like, say, for instance, Seminole Hard Rock was a big client, big customer, and that's why I was first introduced. Is there a number of effect or cost of non-engaged employees to a company, what that would cost a company because they're not engaged, lack of engagement, versus percentage of employees who are engaged, and what does that mean?
Yeah,
it's a big
yeah, it
number.
was, I think it was based off of an 1,000-person company, right? And the cost of disengagement was a term, and this was a study compiled by one of the big three. It escapes me.
Disengaged, right? That would be right.
Yeah, I'll figure it out perhaps after this call as a follow-up. But the cost was something like, for every 1,000-person organization, for your disengaged employee population was something in the 6 to 7 million range for that organization having disengaged employees.
Cost,
right? And that's a cascading effect, again, starting from that turnover on down, but turnover down through, a disengaged employee is less, productive just in general. Eventually, as turnover, it's all
they're influential as well, so they spread the virus.
Well, I know that culture is so important, in casino world, a positive culture, a very brand aligned community of employees that, again, every employee is a touch point for a potential customer, and having that kind of alignment in culture, alignment in purpose and value, alignment in brand are all things that are hyper important within, casinos and hospitality in general. So we nurture, we support, we provide best practice. They have a lot of industry knowledge in this space about how to drive that adoption and usage, and they coach those leaders and those notifiers so they can be more effective communicators at the end of the day. We want to empower these employees. We want to make them, feel a sense of value, that they're adding value in delivery of work. If you feel like you're adding value, then inevitably that's going to have a positive impact on your level of engagement and happiness at your place of employment, and you're more productive at the end of the day. So we can help with all that.
Well, awesome. I tell you, guys, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to have to wrap up. I mean, it's been an absolute thrill for us. And this was at the last minute we put this together. And Hina, as I said, Miguel and I said, she bravely agreed to hang out with us today. And I know that you have some other obligations, Hina. So we, and both of you guys, all of you guys have other obligations. Miguel, you got any closing?
Yes. Just go into readyapp.com. That is readyap.com, and then you can see there what they're all about, and you can contact them directly through there also. Thank you guys for coming and then sharing this short time with us and telling us about your new features and about NIGA, that you're going to be there. Everybody could see you there, and it was a great pleasure seeing you again. Thank you.
Same here. Thanks for having us, guys. We really appreciate the opportunity and to reach your audience and just have this fun conversation and learn a bit more. It's been a pleasure for us as well.
You're going to promise to come back and do it again?
Yes.
All right, for sure.
Thank you. I can't wait for some of my connections within the casino industry to come by your booth. I've already sent out an kind of a email invite, I should say, to your booth now that we had all that information, and looking forward to having seen some of my clients have your product as well.
Yeah, be sure to have them mention your name, Hina, and we'll be seeing you out there in Anaheim in a short while.
Absolutely.
Likewise.
Absolutely. You guys
Thank
all
you.
have a fabulous aloha day.
Hina,
Yes.
give me a Tahitian word to say when you say so long or whatever. Good day.
Well, to say hello is yaorana.
Yeah. Say again.
Yaorana.
Ciao, Rana.
Orahan.
Ya orana.
Orahan.
Rana.
And then to say goodbye is nana. That's not very
Nana. Nana. That's
okay,
right.
but it's nana.
All
Nana.
right.
Not as lovely as, adios or
No,
hasta
I can grow on you.
luego,
It's gonna grow on me. Nana.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
nana.
Guys,
Oitutele.
take care. Thank you so much. We really appreciate it, and it's so good to connect. And I hope everyone has a great day. And thank you so much.
Me too.
Cheers.
Was
Thanks
a
for
everyone.
Cheques
Bye,
Play.
everyone.
All
Bye
right.
now.
Take care.
Thank you.
Bye.
Oh my God,
great.
that was so informative.
That was cool.
That was amazing.
That was
Yes.
cool.
Thank you for letting
Thank
me be a
you.
part of
Thank
this.
you.
No,
Thank you.
Oh,
You
you.
made it happen also. So
Yes,
it was
yes.
great seeing the guys again. That we haven't been in touch with them for a few weeks.
Yeah.
So it was good to have them get the lowdown on their product.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So people are now a little bit more informed about it, and they can go to their booth in NIGA and see the product live. there.
yeah. With all of the new technology, cashless technology and everything else like that on the floor in the front of the house, now is the time for all of
Now's
our
the time.
friends and our casino, coworkers and colleagues. Now is the time to update your platform for
Mhm.
your employees or
Yep.
in-house.
Now's
Now
the
is
time.
the time.
We-
because
I
in-house
can't see-
will help with the outhouse.
I can't see not having it, Hina, once you have it.
Yeah.
I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Once you have it.
Personally,
I can
to me, having it and not having it, there's a big difference. If like I retire, but if I was ever back into the gaming industry again,
Mhm.
that would be something that I would need
Oh,
because of the
100%.
versatility that gives us to do so many things and it make the operation a lot easier for us.
Mhm. Mhm.
As
I
Richard
wish I
Pryor,
had it back in my day.
as Richard Pryor would say, it's better to have and not need rather than to
And
need.
need and not have.
have.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you so much.
Well, thank
Thank
you.
you.
Mwah.
And a great,
Thank you.
great job,
See you
Hina.
soon.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Thanks, Hina. Take care.
We'll talk.
Ta-da.
We'll talk. We'll talk.
Nana.